Hey, eighth grade. So, as you know, yesterday you got started on your refugee narrative project. Really quickly, let's go over what we're working on. You have read multiple narratives and watched a documentary about refugees. Write a narrative from the point of view of a refugee in which you describe the events of your persecution and a journey to a new home. So, if we're breaking down our prompt, we know we're writing a narrative. We know a narrative is a story from the point of view of a refugee. So when we are writing from somebody's point of view, we're using I, but our point of view should be a refugee. And we are describing the events of our persecution and journey to a new home. So all of that needs to be included to have a complete narrative. Now, yesterday we got started doing our independent agenda, which was kind of just researching using our 8th grade ELA agenda links over here to answer these questions. If you did not do that or you did not finish that, that's something that you can work on today before you get to this next section. But go ahead and watch through this video and then you can work on your brainstorming and research section. So what we're going to be looking at today is this section, our brainstorming space. And the first thing I want to say is what I write in this space is not what you should be writing in this space. You are creating your own narrative based on your own character's point of view from your own country, going to a different country with their own family, their own problems. I'm just going through what does this sort of look like as we break it down. So our first thing that we need to identify is our conflict. And when we say conflict, that's a problem or our main issue in the story. So what is our conflict? Is it that we need to pay smugglers? Is it that our raft ride is going to be really dangerous? Is it the threats that are happening to you and your family that make you leave? So this could be at any stage in your story, but I want you to think about what is the biggest problem that my refugee is going to be facing throughout my story. And remember that we're describing both the persecution before they leave, as well as the journey to the new place. The next thing that we're identifying is a theme. So what is a theme? Right, that's the message, moral, or lesson that the reader or the character learns in the story. And you should be annotating your brainstorming space as well. So what is it that you're going to have your character learn? We have things like family is the most important, or you must make sacrifices for survival. Those are some things that just pop into my head for a theme for a refugee narrative. However, it can be anything. It can be ends justify the means, like we learned about in social studies, where what you go through throughout your story is really kind of terrible, but where you end up is excellent. So or better than where you were. I want you to take the time now to identify your conflict. What is your main conflict in the story? And your theme. What is the main theme that somebody's going to learn? This can be in bullet points, in complete sentences, however you want to do it. Now, our final thing is kind of our biggest thing, our plot. So what is our plot? That's the events that take place in the story. And they happen in a particular order. Remember, we have our exposition. That's our setting. We have our rising action. We have our climax. We have our falling action. And we have our resolution. Now, you do not have to write this if you understand these parts of plot, but as a kind of guide, if you are confused, our exposition introduces our character and setting. Our rising action is going to probably show the persecution. That forces the character to leave. Our climax is probably going to be our journey, our conflict. Our falling action is going to be continued journey, but towards the end. And our resolution is going to be making it to a new country. So this is just an idea for you. You need to actually fill in what these events look like. What is the main character's setting? What is the persecution that forces them to leave? What is the journey and the conflict? What are these actual plot points? If you are stuck, here's a story starter. My name is Ahmed. My family and I have traveled over 500 miles to get from our home in Syria through Turkey. Now we are waiting for a smuggler to take us to Greece. Now, that does not need to be the way your story starts. It can be a journal entry, it can be a diary, but that's just an idea of how you could start a story. You can Google Syrian names or Afghan names or Iranian names to help you with what your character's name is going to be. But by the end of today, you should have both this independent agenda and this brainstorming space complete and starting on your actual narrative. Raise your hand if you have any questions.